Raider playoff game is not a pretty sight. Last Sunday, the Los Angeles Coliseum looked more like the Roman Coliseum, complete with gladiators and fans with their thumbs pointing down, screaming, "Off with his head." Twice Seattle had beaten up on the Raiders earlier in the year, but in this all-important AFC Championship game, the mighty men of the Silver and Black destroyed the young Hawks in the first half. From the first snap to the very last, LA's offensive line blocked, maintained their blocks, and then blocked some more just for the heck of it. And defensively, the Raiders played even tougher. Even Al Davis's special teams left a lasting impression. When Otis McKinney was flagged for roughing the kicker, Seattle's first possession was prolonged a bit, but only long enough to let Lester Hayes stifle it on the very next play. Hayes' interception gave the Raiders excellent field position. And when guard Charlie Hanna, number 73, blew away Seattle's Jacob Green, Marcus Allen ripped off a 19-yarder that set up a Chris Barr field goal. Seattle's free agent quarterback Dave Craig had performed some late season and postseason miracles to get these surprising Hawks in this championship. But against the relentless Raider pass rush, Craig would end up the first half with -9 net passing yards. Seattle's other offensive magician, AFC rushing champion Kurt Warner, was simply punished in the first half, totaling a paltry 18 yards on the ground. Warner's counterpart, Marcus Allen, did the punishing as he ripped the suspect Seahawks defense for 70 yards in the first 30 minutes alone. Allen's running set the stage for LA's first touchdown, a short 1-yard pop by Frank Hawkins, number 27. The game bore every Raider trademark: tough defense, bold, effective running, and finally the patented Raider bomb when Plunkett found wide-open Malcolm Barnwell for a 49-yard gain. Barnwell's grab was the key in a lightning-quick 4-play drive capped by Hawkins' second touchdown of the half. Trailing 17-0, Craig tried to bring some sense of order to the crumbling Seahawks. What he produced was Keystone Cop chaos. No less than 5 Raiders played keep away with the frustrated and sorely overmatched boys from Seattle. and the interception allowed Barr to make it 20-0 Los Angeles at intermission. The Raiders had done what they and most of the nation had thought they would do. They had pushed the brash but not yet seasoned Seahawks all over the field. And with the game only half over, Ted Hendricks and Lester Hayes were already planning their nightclub visits, tennis, and afternoons at the beach in Tampa Bay, where if they have time, they'll also practice a little for the defending champion Redskins in Super Bowl 18. Only one question remained. Could they preserve their shutout? Seahawk quarterback David Craig is a Libra, and on January 8th, his horoscope read, "Find ways to reduce boredom on the job. Bypass a social event in favor of a work project." Perhaps Craig should have bypassed his trip to Los Angeles altogether, after throwing 3 passes to his own receivers and 3 to the Raiders. The Raider defense kept putting on the hits in the second half, with much of their attention focused on Kurt Warner, who was limited to a mere 26 yards on 11 carries. On the other side of the line, the Raiders' Todd Christensen showed that it has taken considerably more than dexterity, grace, and finesse for him to become an all-pro tight end. Nothing to it, but while Christensen was bottled up for most of the day, the bulk of the offense was handled by Marcus Allen, who always draws a crowd. This time the crowd went one way and Allen reversed his field to turn a 5-yard loss into a 10-yard gain. The name Marcus Allen was overshadowed this year by the Dickersons and the Warners, but number 32 took this Sunday afternoon to put his name back on the marquee. All told, Allen gained 154 yards on the ground and added another 62 through the air. Among his 226 total yards was a short touchdown toss from Jim Plunkett that extended the Los Angeles lead to 27-0. Called upon to give Seattle some measure of respect, backup quarterback Jim Zorn led the Seahawks to their only 2 scores of the day, one on a pass to Dan Dornick. Since being relegated to second string, Zorn has become a forgotten man in Seattle. But for a few brief moments on Sunday, Zorn showed the spunk and scrambling that has produced more than a few comeback wins in years past. But not even Zorn could scramble long and hard enough to evade the long arms of the Raider rush, featuring rookie defensive end Greg Townsend, number 93, who dropped number 10 for a 23-yard loss. Raider pressure forced Zorn to throw 2 interceptions, and even picture-perfect passes could not create a masterpiece. Dan Dornick failed to get his feet in bounds on one apparent touchdown, and receiving ace Steve Largent could not find the handle that helped Seattle beat Miami the week before. For much of the year, the Hawk was a mean and vicious bird. But in this AFC Championship game, Seattle was duck soup for the Raiders, and losers by 30-14. For the Seahawks, it was time to migrate back to the Pacific Northwest, while the Raiders prepare to take their act out of town to Super Bowl 18 and a showdown with the Washington Redskins. Last Sunday, Washington Redskin fans eagerly anticipated that their beloved Hogs would once again turn RFK Stadium into a pen where opponents can quickly be reduced to slop. But in the first half of the NFC Championship game, number 44 John Riggins became just another pig in a poke against the San Francisco 49ers' ferocious defense. Washington's usual dominance of the middle was prevented by San Francisco's defensive bubble, which was usually able to close off the inside before the Hogs could open up holes for Riggins. One key to the 49ers' success was the play of unheralded nose tackle Pete Kugler, number 67, who got the best of center Jeff Bostic, number 53, for most of the day. While the Skins had trouble moving the ball, so did the Niners, who continually found themselves in poor field position, especially on this heads-up play by Washington's punt coverage team. Number 51, Monty Coleman, batted a Jeff Hayes punt onto the 1-yard line where Bostic downed it, and the 49ers were again in hot water. San Francisco punter Tom Oroz's penchant for shanking kicks didn't allow his team's coverage unit a chance to perform such heroics. In the second quarter, Washington took advantage of Oroz's hollow foot when number 30, Nick Giaquinto, worked up a little razzle-dazzle with speedy Darrell Green, number 28. But this stunning effort went for naught when officials ruled that it was an illegal forward pass. Later in the period, however, Washington tried a legal forward pass and got better results off a beautifully executed play fake by Joe Theismann. Number 86, Clint Didier's 46-yard reception set up the first score of the game, as Riggins looked inside, then went outside for a 4-yard touchdown. Another look at Riggins' scoring run reveals his excellent vision, and also shows that a poor tackle by veteran linebacker number 64 Jack Reynolds allowed Riggins to maintain a full head of steam. The Skins' 7-0 advantage was decidedly meager in comparison to the 38-7 first-half lead they had forged against the Rams 2 weeks ago. But San Francisco's normally productive offense was unable to counter with anything resembling a sustained drive. The 49ers were hurt by their own mistakes and by an aggressive Washington defense that restricted the Niners to a mere 130 net offensive yards in the first 2 periods. Still, the Skins squandered scoring opportunities of their own when the usually reliable Mark Mosley was woefully wide right on field goal attempts of 45 and 34 yards. The first half of play concluded with Washington clinging to a 7-0 lead. The opening 30 minutes demonstrated that while San Francisco's offense was standing on shaky ground, their defense had no real reason to beware of the Hogs. The 49ers were still in a contest that many had expected to be a thunderous offensive display, but there were storm clouds brewing overhead, and after the intermission, they would begin to break in a big way. Having ignored their wide receivers throughout most of the first half while managing only a 7-0 lead, the run-oriented Redskins altered their approach in the third quarter. John Riggins up the gut became John Riggins bombs away as the big fullback's 36-yard pass to Charlie Brown put Washington in scoring position. Unfortunately for the Redskins, Mark Mosley's third consecutive missed field goal once again sent them away empty-handed. However, on their next series, Washington went back to their bread and butter as Riggins took Mosley off the hook with a 1-yard touchdown run. The Redskins are at their best when they have a lead, because just when an opposing defense thinks they'll be battling toe-to-toe with Riggins and the Hogs for the rest of the game, they get sucker punched by Joe Theismann and the Smurfs. Charlie Brown, number 87, led all receivers with 5 catches for 137 yards, including this 70-yard score that put Washington on top 21-0. With a 3-touchdown lead and only 1 quarter to play, most people figured the game was over. However, while Redskin fans were packing their bags for Tampa Bay, 49ers coach Bill Walsh was busy unpacking his bag of tricks. In the 5 years Walsh has been in San Francisco, the 49ers have never been shut out. A tribute not only to Walsh's brilliant game plans, but also to fine offensive performers like quarterback Joe Montana, number 16. Montana's touchdown toss to wide receiver Mike Wilson gave the 49ers their first points of the day. Following Mosley's 4th field goal miss, one quick flick of Montana's wrist had the hometown fans choking on the words to "Hail to the Redskins," and poor Mosley looking for a place to hide. Freddie Salomon's 76-yard touchdown made it a ball game, 21-14. With time becoming a factor, the 49ers' only chance rested on their defense's ability to stop the Redskins' offense. While the San Francisco defensive line fought off the Hogs and penned in the slick Joe Theismann, Joe Montana continued to seek out 49er receivers, who were suddenly as elusive as greased pigs. Mike Wilson's second touchdown catch tied the score 21-21 with 7 minutes remaining. San Francisco's late-game comeback was full of drama and heroics. However, the 49ers felt that the Redskins' game-winning drive was marked by controversy. A heartbreaking interference call on the 49ers' defensive back put the ball on San Francisco's 18-yard line. 3 plays later, with only 2 minutes remaining, a great defensive effort by Tim Collier, number 47, saved a touchdown. The defensive holding left the ball just 8 yards from the 49ers' goal line, close enough for Mark Mosley to kick the winning field goal. With the 24-21 victory, the Redskins became the first team to go to back-to-back Super Bowls since the '79 Steelers. On the other hand, the disappointed 49ers must now spend the offseason living with the game's bittersweet memory. Their valiant comeback will forever be overshadowed by 32 yards in penalties that ended their Super Bowl journey 1 town short of Tampa Bay. It's taken 19 weeks for it to be determined, but finally the NFL's two best teams have stepped forward. In a coast-to-coast Super Bowl matchup, the mighty Los Angeles Raiders will battle the rugged Washington Redskins to determine the world championship of professional football.